Welcome to Seeing Scarlet. It is Shelby. I am here with Tyler once again, and we're talking all the sports, but a lot of basketball in this one because it is officially basketball season. Technically, we have some football left, but bowl season, especially with everything we got going on with football right now, which we'll talk about later, it's basketball season, y'all. So, welcome to basketball season. We're going to talk a lot of Lady Raiders on here, men's basketball, and also, right before we get into that, since we didn't have an episode last week because it was Thanksgiving, we want to say thank you, Texas Tech Soccer. Great season. I got to go to that game over at Duke, and we played them pretty tough. I mean, actually, if you look at the rest of their games, metrically and all the things, we've played Duke tougher than anybody that has played them right now, and they're all the way to the College Cup and could win the whole thing. So it was always a good time watching them in person. I really appreciate what that team did this year. Overcame a lot. You've heard us say that all year. That's just a program. That's Texas Tech Soccer is a program, and I appreciate them so much, and I'm already looking forward to next year. And we'll just all see how the off season goes for every sport. But yeah, much love to Texas Tech Soccer's way. You know that we appreciate everything y'all have done this year and taking us on a fun journey. And it was a good time, and I really can't wait. I'm like already counting the days until August of 2025. Like I love soccer so much, man. It's become one of my favorite sports to watch every year.
Yes, yeah, Texas Tech Soccer, y'all played great this year. Thank you to all of our seniors. Huge impact this year. We really turned the season around huge, and it was just a great run in the NCAA tournament. We really did play Duke really, really good, so that was very impressive. But yes, thank you all so much for a great season. We are counting down the days till August to pack the walker, so wreck 'em.
Yeah. Double down on the thank you to the seniors. I think we said this somewhere on social media in the last week. If not, I'll say it here. We owe a lot to this senior class and last year's class for sticking around. Like people know that Texas Tech Soccer has always been one of our more successful programs, which is absolutely true in the 18 years with Tom Stone. But there was a little bit of a lull there when the COVID stuff happened. It kind of derailed our program a bit, like it did a lot of programs around the country, just because of all the weirdness, and a lot of people got injured throughout that process, just because it changed their schedules and what they could and couldn't do in workouts, and we had a lot of injuries that popped up then, and we had a lot of people transfer and all the things like a lot of programs did, and a lot of these seniors could have left, and rightfully so. Like, hey, I'm going to go somewhere and do this instead, and no, they stayed and they built this program back up. They got us to the tournament again last year, won the Big 12 last year, almost won it again this year, and Texas Tech Soccer is right back where it belongs and ready to shoot off once again, just like what it was doing before. So yeah, big love to the seniors, all you guys. But yeah, they deserve a shout out because they've done a lot for this program and build a statue, as they say.
For sure, yes. But great season overall. Very proud of them. I really liked the tenacity all season, just dealing with all the injuries, and then hopefully all those that were injured, they can come back and will be stronger than ever, and make a college cup run.
Oh,
Because
it's coming. I
that's what we're gonna
cannot
do.
wait
It's
until
coming.
Texas
We're
Tech
so close.
Soccer makes the
Yes.
College Cup, man. We're going to do it sooner than later. I just feel like it, and that's a whole episode for another day. I gotta calm myself. We gotta talk about other
Right.
sports. But in the spring we'll start talking soccer again and getting ready for next year. But yeah, thanks for everything that y'all did, and we'll talk about volleyball here at the end. Their season ended as well, but we'll cap it off with both sports that just wrapped up. But to get into sports that are going on right now, we have women's basketball. The Lady Raiders went down to the Virgin Islands for the Paradise Jam, which is one of the more prestigious little holiday tournaments you can get yourself into, and it's even more historic with this one is the team that we finished off the tournament with is actually Missouri State, who 25 years ago it was a rematch of the first ever Paradise Jam championship game, was Texas Tech versus Missouri State, and we got to play each other again in this. Also played Florida State, which was a huge game. They're a top team. I think they're like 27th or something in the net. They're top 20 in like all the actual metrics that people truly care about. They're a really good team, number one offense in the country, and we held them 30 points below their average. So we'll get into that. Gonzaga win and Missouri State win. But just if you aren't aware, this team plays again. This schedule jam packed. They get about a week off after tomorrow's game, but they do play again tomorrow night at the USA in Lubbock against SFA, who is a really good program. They're actually top 50 in the net, which I'll explain what the heck the net is if you're not aware here in a second. But that would be a really big win. And Tyler is going to break SFA down for you guys a little bit after we get done recapping all these games. So if you want to know more about them, he's got you covered. But first and foremost, be there tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Let them know, Tyler. What is the theme? I saw the students have some sort of theme going on.
Yes, the student theme is tropical theme because
Oh,
the Lady Raiders
okay.
finished second in Paradise Jam, so
Oh,
we should bring the beach back to Lubbock and hopefully, we can overpower SFA's bench and we can get the win. So yes, wear all the tropical stuff, sunglasses, lays, Hawaiian shirts, flip-flops, whatever you have, bring it to the game.
I love that. I love that.
Summer and Christmas.
I love that. Let's morph it all together. I don't know. It's a little chilly here. I don't know if it's cold in Lubbock, but
It is.
you can pretend like it's not. So I like that.
Right.
Yeah, be there for that. Again, that would be actually, believe it or not, that would be a quad 2 win. What is a quad 2 win? Nobody knows. Nobody knows what a quad 1 win is. That's the whole joke, right? But briefly, the net rankings came out today. First of the year for both men's and women's basketball. I believe the women's team was 70th. Is that correct, Tyler?
Yes, we were 70.
70th. And the men's team was 36th. And a big question I've gotten all day today, because it is confusing, but I wanted to answer this question at the start because I've gotten it from like 2 different people on Twitter and 1 person on Facebook. Why is the women's team so far down compared to the men's when they're both have only have 1 loss, and the women's team's loss was to a quad 1 team against Florida State, and the men's loss was actually to a quad 3 team, meaning a much lower ranked team. So the women lost to Florida State, who's top 30 team, and the men lost to someone that's like in the hundreds. So yeah, doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Face value. But the way the net works is there's a lot of things that go into it, and offensive and defensive efficiency are 2 big ones, but it's like the specific categories within those. So it's not just about winning. Like, we'll sit here and say a win is a win, which is true on a resume, but to the net, a win is not a win. Like, they want you to play efficient basketball and play clean basketball, and then that's how the computers determine it. So the Lady Raiders have been winning against some solid opponents this year. They've been close games, though. So that's why sometimes when we're doing these shows, we're like, man, like, we get a little frustrated, right? And we're not like over the top excited, even though we win this game or that game, because we know, like, these dang computers aren't gonna like that was such a close game, and I think that's kind of what's getting us. But the net isn't the end all be all. It's just like a thing that they use when you get to the tournament to kind of pick seeding, and it matters if you're on the bubble, which we could be. So it matters, but it's not necessarily like a direct correlation to like, are you a good team or not? That's other ranking systems, and like Torvik is doing women's basketball this year, and we're actually 50th or something in that right now, and they're kind of liking us pretty well, especially on the defensive side. So like, there's good stuff to like when you look at the metrics, but when it comes to net, the best I can tell the reason this happening is those offensive and defensive efficiency numbers, and they calculate things like field goals attempted on offense. We're 204th in the country in field goals attempted on offense. Offensive rebounds, we're 125th in the country. Turnovers, we're 229th in the country, and free throws attempted, we're 90th. So like, that's what the computers don't like that, right? So we're a little bit lower, even if we have played some decent opponents. On the defensive side, opponent field goals attempted, good. We're good there. We're holding people down from taking shots. That's why our defense is pretty good, right? We're 36th in the country in actual field goals attempted on the defensive side. Yay, that's a good thing. That's probably helping us boost up and overcome some of that offensive numbers. On the offensive rebounding side, though, not good. We're allowing a lot of offensive rebounds. We're 243rd in the country in offensive rebounds allowed. So that's an area we start cleaning that up. We start taking that a little bit more personally. That's an area that'll improve it. And then forcing turnovers, again, doing great there. We're doing great. We're 21st in the country in forcing opponent turnovers. So the computers love that one. But then the last part of that is free throw attempts allowed. We're sending people to the line at too many times. Free throws attempted, we're like 257th. So that is to answer all your questions today. Why? If you went and did that for the men's team, they're probably better in those categories. I didn't have time to go do it. But yeah, so the women's team lost. They actually almost beat Florida State. I can argue they should have beaten Florida State. And we'll talk about that game. And then we would have been a little bit higher. But even if we had beaten Florida State, I don't know that we would have been like top 50 just because of all these other metrics. But these are things that can be cleaned up, and that you'll see this team grow. And then just by virtue of being in the Big 12, you're going to have a lot of opportunities against high net teams. And you have one tomorrow against SFA, which turns out to be a great team to have had on your schedule. because again, what really matters about the net is like your opponent's net. And SFA, good job to them. They're having a good season and they've got themselves in the top 50. So that all of a sudden becomes a really tasty little win for us if we can get it tomorrow night at home. Even at home, it'd be a quad 2 win. So that might have been gibberish to you guys, but a lot of people have asked that all day today, and I'm sure I'll have to break that down as the season goes. I hope I have to, because that means we're still in the hunt. But that's kind of the gist of it is, yeah, on face value, it feels a little weird that they're that far apart as teams, even though the losses aren't equal at all. Like I would say the Lady Raiders' one loss is a good loss. It's not a bad loss. Versus St. John, is it St. John's? St. Joe's for the
St.
men.
Joseph's, yes.
Was one that they probably would count as a bad loss. But that's not how the net works. They care about the basketball side of it and the efficiency.
Right.
So we just got to keep playing cleaner basketball and it'll keep rising up.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it was a little shocking to see the net rankings just because Florida State was a good loss, and we have been playing a lot of what I would thought would have higher quality teams based on what Torvik was saying, but obviously the net rankings, you know, the computers do their own thing. But
Yeah.
we have a lot of opportunities ahead. The Big 12 has a lot of teams above us that we can easily knock off, I think, later in the season. So it's nothing to be too worried about. I mean, they came out like today, so
Yeah, and
there's
it's
still
early.
a lot more
It's the first
models.
ones. Like I would like to be in the 50s before conference got here. I don't know if that'll happen or not, but it's not the end of the world. If you win the games that you need to win, I think that we probably need to win at least 10 games in conference to get there. And if you do that, I think that should kind of take care of itself. But we'll see. It's really early in the season, but everybody's asking that today because it came out. So we talked about it. I'm sure we'll talk about it again, but we got to keep ourselves in the conversation to keep having net talks. So, but we'll do it if we hope we will do it because we will need to, right, Tyler? We will need to believe
100%.
that we'll be in the conversation. So that's that. Into the Paradise Jam. We'll start with just go in order. We played Florida State. What were your thoughts on the Florida State game? First one, again, number 1 offense in the country. And Florida State had over 100 points per game, leading scorer in the country, leading rebounder in the country. Two separate players on their team, leading the country in different categories, and the whole team is leading in scoring. And we got to take them on. So that was a good test, to say the least.
It was a very good test for Lady Raiders. I will say the first quarter had me a little bit on edge. The basketball. Florida State was just really beating us. Wasn't the best basketball. Yeah. But later on in the game, we outdid Florida State in the other 3 quarters, I would argue, and that's toward the end. That's where I say that we should have won the game. But I mean, we held Florida State, who averages 100 points a game, to 30 points less than their average, to 70 points. So that shows the defensive efficiency in this team. And also, you look at, the first quarter, yeah, it didn't go great, but then offense was able to get it together and they still fought. They could have easily just said, all right, we're already down by, 9 heading into the second quarter. Like, let's just try to do some damage control. And instead, they kept themselves in the game near the end. So I think that this was a great test. We needed this test. We needed to play against offenses that were going to generate points. I guess it looks like Florida State had a player with 30 points and another one with 20 points. So, they scored a lot.
The player with 30 points, Lassen, is who leads the country in scoring. So it's kind of what she does.
Yes.
Sometimes you can only do what you can do. And sometimes because good scorers are just going to find a way to score. And then I think, was it Gordon? Is that her last name? The other girl?
Yes.
Yeah, Gordon. I know the team talked about her leading up to the game. They were aware that she could fill it up as well. And that's a lethal duo. I'm excited to watch Florida State as their season progresses. They have a big game coming up with Tennessee. So if you want to follow the net, those are games where even though we lost to them, we need them to beat everybody they play from here on out. So that's one to watch headed forward. But yeah, I thought we'll just play the highlights here in a second. But first quarter, like you said, not great. But I appreciate that we got up and fought back. People leading up to that game, different people asked me, hey, what are you looking for? I thought Florida State was going to be tough, to be honest. I did. And I was happy that I was mad at the end of the game, meaning I think we should have won that game. After the first quarter, we rebounded, we got up, we punched back, and that's all I was telling people I wanted was I just want to see this team punch back. I do not want to see them get knocked, because I do think they're going to get punched in this game, is what I said. I think we're going to get knocked down in this game, but I want us to see us get back up and swing. I don't want to see us quit. And we got punched in the first quarter, and we got knocked down. They had their huddle between quarters, and they came the heck out there, and they won the game from there. They outscored them. Second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, all together, we outscored them the rest of that game. We had so many chances to win that game, and we just couldn't quite do it, which goes back to that offensive efficiency things we just talked about. Just a few turnovers late in that game that every time we had a chance to take the lead, we just couldn't do it. I really think if we had taken the lead in that game, we had 3 or 4 chances in the fourth quarter, it felt like, a couple in the third quarter, to take the lead. And then they would go on a little 4 or 5-0 run spurt, and then we'd have to go on a 4 or 5-0 run spurt. I feel like if we had just gotten the lead, we could have won it. But that was a great learning experience for this team, and I appreciate that they didn't quit. They got up and punched back. So I can't be mad, even though I felt like, damn, we had that. But when I went into that game, all I asked for was, hey, I just want to see them punch back, and they absolutely punched back. They didn't look scared. You'll see that in these highlights. I think it's Danae. I'll pull him up in a second, but I think it feels like it's something Danae would do. But somebody at the beginning of the Florida State game blocks someone's shot and then like a little bit stands over them. They're like laying on the ground and they're standing over them looking down. And I was like, okay, we're not scared. This team is not scared of their opponents this year. I'm not going to get into other teams, but this team is not scared of their opponents this year. I learned that from the jump in the Florida State game and the way that they fought back. So those are the positives, but the late game turnovers, the opportunities that we had, we just need to be a little bit stronger with the ball, a little bit calm. Reminded me a little bit of that Baylor game in the Big 12 tournament last year where we had all those chances and then just kind of let it get away from us. But yeah, I think that was the Florida State game. It was pretty solid. Some good stuff you can take from it. Would have been a huge win. Hopefully we don't look back and wish we had that one at the end of the year, but I think they can hopefully just learn from it and go from there, and I think that's the best you can hope for in these situations. So let's look at these little highlights from Florida State.
As coach,
here's the block from somebody. I don't remember who.
The Paradise Jam.
But they like, it's Danae. Of course it's Danae. I don't even know why I questioned it. And she kind of looks down at her. I mean, I'm not saying it was anything. And like, I liked it, right? We just didn't look scared. Bailey was great this whole tournament, I thought. Under control.
100%.
Jada was really solid in the Florida State game. Tough. She was tough in the Florida State game. There's a moment in the back cut Bailey. Back cut Bailey. She's a menace. She's a menace. I don't know why I kept calling her Gerlach. That was
I know. It was frustrating.
The back cuts were working. This offense works really well when we can get that. A lot of teams don't let us do that because they know that that's a big part of our offense. But Florida State was playing up on us, and so it worked in our favor. Jordan Merritt has been so steady.
Amazing. Yeah,
so steady
very
this year.
steady.
This is the Jordan Merritt we knew she could be, right? She just needs to keep doing what she's doing.
I think that was Kyla at that former one. Kyla had a good tournament too.
Yep. Great pass to Sarah. What a pass! What a pass, Bailey. Bailey has elite vision. She always has. That's why I believe in her ability to be the point guard last year. She can just see the floor so well. I like this one right here. Fell over. Oh, okay, fine. That's not easy to do. People think sometimes it's hard to make shots when you're that wide open, but mentally tough, Bailey. Great team defense there. That player right there is one of the best bigs we're gonna face, like in this year, and even in the Big 12. Like that, she leads the country in rebounds, and we really did pretty well on her. Yeah, well, what was that? Yeah, that was not Shavers, by the way. That was Jada Wynn.
Jada Wynn, I know.
Logan Johnson, big stuff, tough buckets.
They keep it going side to side. Here comes that ball screen. They're trying to throw it to the weak side corner.
Logan
goes one-on-one.
Awesome. Just drive it in.
She never gets a whistle against her. I don't know why she never gets and ones. It just annoys me, but she can go through contact. Great pass. Everybody wanted Jada to shoot that, and they're like, oh, never mind. Great pass. So this is, again, we're like within 1 point.
Right. So close.
And we're like, timeout. This is it. We're going to come out of this timeout and go on a run. And it just felt like every Florida State did a good job out of timeouts. I think they beat us at that part of the game. They'd call a timeout and regroup and kind of go on a run, and then we'd come back, right? We do this, and then we get right back in it.
You're right.
and you feel like you had a chance, and then it was kind of back and forth. So we ended up losing that game by 8. Really should have only lost by 6, but we fouled them with like a second to go, and so they got some cheap free throws, but it's because we were trying to score, so it's fair. But yeah, I thought Florida State, we kind of covered all the things. I don't know if you have the box score you want to run through player stats or not, but I think Bailey, I don't remember who led us in scoring that game, to be honest.
Jazzy led us with 18 points, and then Bailey had 13.
She had a big fourth quarter in that game.
Yes.
She had 3 threes, I think, in that fourth quarter and got going as she can do, and almost led us back there. But yeah, so I thought it was a good game. I thought it was good team defense, and you'll see that carried over into the Gonzaga game, which we can pull up. Just watch Sarah specifically in this Gonzaga game. This is probably one of our most complete games of the year. Gonzaga is historically a really good team. It's a bit of a rebuilding year for them. They lost a lot from last year's team, but they still have good players. They have an All-American post player, an All-Conference post player. Their post player is one of the best, absolutely one of the best we're going to face all year. That was the thing I took away from this tournament, is kind of like individual phases of our game that I was like, hey, that's encouraging. Is like, there's plenty that we have to work on still. Absolutely have to work on still. But the way that we guarded the post in both the Gonzaga and Florida State games, where we were outmatched talent-wise with the Florida State big and the Gonzaga big, and we held both of them under their scoring averages, under everything averages, and it was all with just straight-up effort. So I want you to watch Sarah in these highlights specifically, because if you look at the box score, you can be like, Sarah didn't do much, right? If you watch the highlights, Sarah's defense against their Edgem, I believe is their last name, Gonzaga, that's just one of the best post players you're going to face this year, just all-out effort to just not let her get the ball. She refused to let them pass the ball in, and Gonzaga's offense kind of goes through the post to try to get to her, then she does something or passes it back out, and we refuse to allow them to pass the ball into the post. And that's why we got off to such a good start, because they were like, oh, what do we do? They're taking away our entire offense. Just because Sarah was all-out effort, Kyla came in, Jordan did it, everybody that came in there and just really went at this girl, and they started like pushing her out to the three-point line at some point because they were like, well, F it. So they like abandoned their entire offense because we weren't allowing them get it a post-entry pass, and so she had to start popping out to the top of the key, and then we were just daring her to shoot it because, hey, you want to take a shot from there? Cool. And I think she made one, but she didn't make any of the rest. So I thought our defensive game plan was really good against Gonzaga. And furthermore, our post defense, which is encouraging because we're going to play posts that are better than us in the Big 12. That's just the truth of our roster construction. It's going to be post players that are better than we are, and you're going to have to play this type of defense with a great game plan and see us really kind of buy into that. And I felt like that's kind of what you saw in this game. So.
Right. I think with Gonzaga, a lot of I think at the post spot, I think that our forwards, Kyla and Jordan, they really stepped it up when Sarah was getting in foul trouble, and it's really promising to see that both of them are willing to take that leadership position down low and push a big like Gonzaga's like out to the 3-point line and, just completely tussle down there. So that was really promising to see.
Yeah, all of them were tough. They were tough, and they were, a question that we have about this team is our ability to be physical in the paint. And one of the things that the announcers kept saying, like, they were like, yeah, this Texas Tech team is just so physical in the paint. And I was like, whoa! They've only seen us for 2 games. But the fact that they're saying that about us says like, how well we were doing. Because we were playing pretty physical. I don't know that we were as physical in the last game, which almost got us in trouble. But in these first 2 games, we really brought the fight in the paint, and we had to. Because, again, 2 of the best bigs you'll see this year. So that was encouraging for sure. It shows that it's in us, but we have to really buy into that.
Second chance to come in here with this.
We start this game really fast.
Texas
Jordan
Tech
Merritt
team.
was great
And
in the beginning of this game.
Alma mater, a national
Solid
champ. Now Maupin had a
I like
great
this little
game
2-man game we got
13
going on
points, 4 assists.
on one side of the court. This is
Gets a bucket
something we've been
right
better
there.
at. Fly. Defense. There it is. Look at Sarah deny. Like, she just would not let her get it up there, and then she goes and just steals it. Kyla was on the bottom side, not letting her get it to the block on that.
Player of the Year award winner for the best mid-major player, and rattling home the 3.
Big shot,
Paradise
Jordan.
Jam.
I just love that she's
Mopping
playing
on
so
one,
confident
and
right
Merritt
now. This
on
is
the
who
other.
Jordan Merritt is. It's who she's always been. But it's good to see
On the
her
drive
playing
is
that way.
Wynn played really well
Logan.
yesterday.
That was
coming
like-
off the bench.
These
They're on West
highlights are
Texas
out of
time.
It
order.
might be
Sorry, I didn't
9
make them, guys.
9:15 here, but
Just
it's
go with it.
7:15 in their world.
Their body clocks have not adjusted.
Another one from
Merritt for
from
three.
Jordan.
Merritt in the game for the Lady Raiders. Shavers with the basketball.
Bad possession.
Adley,
Adley.
no hesitation. You're going to play a zone? Good luck. Good luck. Adley's coming into the game, and she's going to give
Attacking feet,
buckets.
dumps it off.
Again, great
Underneath,
team defense down
Gets
low.
blocked.
Maya Peak got her
Little
700th career
Ivins,
rebound in that
Betancourt,
game.
Turner, and
Oh,
Ejim.
awesome.
The first 5 out here in the third quarter. Johnson gets the putback for 2.
Logan.
Today it's been
I don't know how
Moffitt
Bailey
on
got
the
out of
point.
that. Bailey was...
And Maupin finds Merritt.
Bailey is another one. I think I tweeted, like, this might be the best game that Bailey Maupin's played as a Lady Raider. And someone responded, I guess they didn't watch the game, and they said she only has 10 points. And I don't know, is that true? I have no idea how many points she scored in that game. But I was like, did you watch the game? And they said, no. I was just looking at the box score. I was like, cool, go watch this game. And I think you'll agree that
Right.
it's one of the best games that Bailey Maupin's ever played. It's not all about scoring, y'all. Like, you can't look at a
Right.
box score and see how well someone played. She was so under control in this game. She started this game at the 1, I think. We shifted the lineups a little bit. I'm sure that the starting lineup's going to keep changing on this team. We talked about that before. It doesn't matter who starts. They're just trying to figure out their lineups. And people don't want to hear it because there's weird people out there, there are haters out there. But Bailey has been running point if Danae's not in the game all year. So it was no different in this game. And she ran it, and she was very under control and just kind of dictated what she wanted to do in this game. So yeah, it was in my opinion, one of Bailey's best games as a Lady Raider. I don't care how many points she scored. It was about how she ran the offense for this team and got everybody in a good spot and kept getting to the paint and kicking it out and allowed other people to succeed as well. So super impressed with how she played.
All alone underneath the basket. Blacklock tracks it down right along the sideline.
Tech looked a little tired yesterday.
Jazzy?
That trip in from out.
Jazzy. 3.
Well, Gonzaga
Bucket.
Tuesday flew to St. Thomas. Wednesday
Okay,
Academy.
Maya.
Wow.
That's a good deflection from her.
Shavers the run out right now, taking it to the Zags. It's a 17.
We're making the
Yeah.
easy layups. That was a good improvement.
This was an efficient game, right? We still had 17 turnovers, which is too many turnovers against Gonzaga because they don't force a lot of turnovers. But that's nitpicking.
Right.
But we're trying to make the tournament, so we got a nitpick. Great
Right.
finish. I could
Amazing.
argue that pass came from Ivana. Ivana got some run in this game for the first time in a while, and she didn't get the assist on that because Kyla probably took one too many 2 dribbles for her to get the assist. That's probably what the scorekeeper felt, which is fair. But anyway, it was good to see everybody get into the game and have fun in this
Trophy
one.
winner that goes to the best mid-major player.
Against Florida State, they need to get more consistency throughout the full 40 minutes.
Coach Gonzaga with a big fourth quarter yesterday.
Jazzy had 5 steals in this one, I think.
Gonzaga to make a comeback.
Crazy.
Great pass.
Fifth
Danae.
kick out.
On the kick
I
out.
feel like Danae and Jazz
Shavers
are
with
starting to
the
get a nice
answer.
little connection together. They feel like they're starting to know where each other are.
Is giving them
For
energy
sure.
to the offensive end.
Turner's
That
pass
press
tipped
is getting
away. There's
better.
a takeaway in game number 2.
Bird.
Both of those teams.
Bird.
Wait,
She
that's
got
Adley.
it.
JK,
Oh,
that's
Adley. Oh.
Same spot, though. Bird's going to get hers in a minute.
Bird Martin, the kick out.
There we go.
There it is. This is
Bird.
Bird
Bird.
Martin's first career.
Martin for
She's going to be
three.
doing that a lot for
Incredible.
Texas Tech. She is a great shooter.
Under 30
We're just trying to
seconds
find
here
ways to
play.
get her in the lineup and get her
Blacklock
ready
drive.
for this level.
Kelly.
Kelly
To
Mora.
Mora
I just
and
love how
Kelly
happy
Mora.
the bench, they don't show up, but man, the bench
Yes.
was so hype. Like, we were just having a good time. We're just having a good time. You know, winning is fun. And they had a lot of fun in that game. So, yeah, Gonzaga was one of our better games of the year. That's plain
I
and simple
agree.
that we showed like what we could do and should do against. I don't want to. They're not a bad opponent, but I would say they're an inferior opponent for what we want to do this year. And we finally like took it to a team. Like we're up 20 right there. I think we end up winning by 18, but that's a really good win. Like that's what we're capable of doing when everything kind of comes together. And it was a good matchup for us because they turn it over a lot. We press. They don't force turnovers a lot. We turn it over too much on our end. So there was things working in our favor, but that's been the case against other teams this year as well. And we didn't look that good. So I think they're starting to they changed some lineups up in this game, and they're starting to find out who works best with each other and kind of matchups and what types of teams and all the things. I feel like they hit some of the right buttons in this and like just make a mental note of that. And then keep making those changes, and eventually we'll have all the lineups hopefully figured out as they get closer to Big 12.
For sure. And you're talking about changing lineups too, but I think that, if you're not in the starting lineup at first, like you're still going to be guaranteed to play lots of minutes. And while you're on the bench, I mean, when you're in these tournaments or when you're going to be playing away at places like Iowa State, like you want to have a hype bench. Like the bench is like the only fans that are going to be rooting for you when you're going that far across the country. So to see the bench like react so well in this game and really hyping everybody up, I think that's really cool to see. And that's a huge culture shift, I think, from what we've seen in previous years.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, yeah, they seem locked in, and they seem like the way this team has to win, in my humble opinion, is they have to win with everybody. They have to win with toughness. They cannot show up soft, which we're about to talk to Missouri State game. As nicely as I can say it, we were soft in that first half, and we were losing at halftime in that because of that. And I think the team would agree with that. And mentally, physically, all the things, we were a little bit soft, probably tired. Third game in 3 days. It's not easy, guys. It's not easy to do that. Not many people do that in these tournaments. Usually they're 2 games. Ours was 3. And we did our best on that side, but we were a little bit soft in that first half, and it almost sniped us. But this team has to win with toughness. And I thought that they brought that at this tournament for the most part. And that was good to see, because we had a little bit of nerves going into this, because that game right before this was a bright spot for, I think Jalen Bristow had a career game against New Orleans, and some people had some good individual games, but as a team, it was not great. And so it was good to see us shake that off and just be like, okay, that was just a got caught looking ahead at the beach game, and they kind of brought that fight a little bit better. But yeah, Gonzaga was a great game. There's something. Apparently Jake Strong entered the portal. We'll talk about football at the end. Good for Jake Strong. Go find you a new home. Gregory, this is about basketball, I think. Looked better this week, but I'm still unsure of the scheme on offense. Like what the defense is showing, seems Big 12 ready on that side. Yeah, I agree. The defense, I mean, if you're going to hold Florida State, the number 1 offense when they came into that game, scoring over 100 points per game, you're going to hold them 30 points below the average. Then you're going to hold Gonzaga 20 points below their average. Missouri State, I think we held them like 2 or 3 points below their average, but still a little bit below their average. Wasn't our best defensive effort there, but we'll talk about that game. But yeah, our defense, I do agree, is you're feeling pretty good. Even Torvik has this like 34th in the country or something defensive efficiency. Wildly the best we've ever been since Torvik only backdates to 2021, and I think we're like in the 90s last year. We've been as low as like 150 on the defensive side. Like 34 is very good for us. That's because of the athleticism and the length and the way this team's playing, and they're turning people over. So yeah, I would agree. Offensively, yeah, I mean, they have a scheme. I get what you're saying, but they have one if you watch, and I think you saw it more this weekend. I mean, this would be a better question for the staff to answer, but because I don't want to incorrectly identify what they're trying to do on offense. But the best I can see is they're trying to score in 3 ways, right? And you see that they're trying to score off their press, which goes to their defense, and that is like the number 1 way this team can score is absolutely off their press, and but also in transition. It might have been in the Gonzaga game, so we might have already seen it, or it might be in the Missouri State game. In transition, there's a moment. And yeah, it's Missouri State, so hopefully we'll see it in the highlights when we show it. There's a moment where Bailey gets a rebound, kicks it up to Danae, and Danae full sprints up the court, gets to the middle of the lane, beautiful court vision, finds Jazzy on the backside for a 3. That is also how we want to score in transition, and I feel like that play, at least for me personally, when we signed Danae Fritz, was like what I thought we would see this year with those 3 on the floor together, was that play. And I felt like we finally saw it, was because Bailey can bring the ball up, she can start the break, Danae can, Jazzy can, they all can, and you saw that. Bailey got the rebound, immediately up to Danae, over to Jazzy. So that's one way. And then like offensively, their scheme, it's I think it's like a motion, but like if you watch it, maybe it's in the highlights, I don't know. We'll see when they play them. But if you look for it, it feels like it's like a triangle motion. You ever heard like a triangle offense? I don't want to say we're running the old triangle offense, but you will see triangle concepts in this. It's like it's a motion offense, but they're not just moving without purpose. When they're doing it well, they're moving with purpose. They're making cuts with purpose, and they're trying to form like quote unquote triangles on one side. So they'll have a triangle of 3 on one side, and then they seem to have a 2-person thing on the other side. And I feel like that was a little bit more clear in this, if that's what you're saying, Greg. Like that felt like it was a little bit more clear to me in this tournament. The spacing was better. You felt like you could see that triangle forming, and it was like my geometry teachers are going to hate me, but what was it called? Like an equilateral triangle? Like it was an evenly spaced triangle more often than it was like an isosceles triangle. Am I doing this right, Tyler? You're way closer
I
to
think
school
so.
than I am.
I think so.
Where we're spread out too much and there's like someone in the corner and someone at the top of the key, but that's way too far away. And then there's someone here and that's a weird looking triangle. It's technically a triangle, but it's a weird looking triangle. We were doing a better job of making it spaced out and then not a... I'm such an idiot. An acute triangle. It wasn't any, because if they're an acute triangle, then you got two people too close together and one person can guard both points of the triangle. When the offense looks like what the hell is going on, to me that's what it's been, is like our triangles haven't been equal. And I feel like they're doing a better job on the spacing and cutting with purpose. And then I've also liked what we're doing on the backside of the triangle offense when there's just two on the other side who at any point can become the triangle if someone cuts over. Now there's all of a sudden a triangle over there. But we're running sets and motions and actions off of each. Like they seem to have like specific actions off of the triangle side. But then you've also seen this two-man game, which I've liked a lot recently, where you've seen Danae and Sarah do something and Danae got a bucket off of it. Bailey had a great pick and roll moment in one of these games with Sarah off of that just the two-man side. It was like at the top of the key where they pick and rolled and she passed it to her. So I get what you're saying, Greg. I get it. And I agreed for the most part until this tournament. I felt like I started to see that you could see the spacing and you could see kind of that triangle and that flow. And I could be completely wrong or how they call it, but that's how I've always seen Girl League's offense when it works the best. There's triangle concepts to it, and it's not just a pickup game motion. It's not like everybody's doing whatever they want to. Like there's purpose behind what they're trying to do. But that's what I mean when we said last episode, like, this offense can be hard to guard if they get on the same page, but you have to kind of move together. Like, if here, we'll just show the... if it comes up in these highlights, I'll stop and say it. It's hard for me to describe it, but they have to move together and create those triangles. And I feel like you saw it. It might have been better to talk about that during the Gonzaga game, but his question didn't come until after. But hopefully you'll see it in the Missouri State game, even though it wasn't our best. I think the offense still looked pretty good in this game. I think it's defensively that got us in this one.
Working with Sanogo. Out to the corner. Now driving
Great
is Johnson
passing.
open on the backside.
Good stuff. See, look. See the triangle? You can see this triangle on this three sides, and then there's two on the other side constantly. She's going to skip past it all the way to Jazzy, and then and this is where I'm going off the dome here, but she's going to skip past it, and then you'll see Jordan immediately, she'll move, because now, okay, there needs to be a triangle over there, so she's going to move to create it on that side, and then there's a two-man game over here. We got triangles in the chat. They see it. They see it. That's a right angle, or is that a right angle triangle? Is that what that's called?
Right triangle. Yes.
Right triangle. Oh. I'm close. My teachers are going to be so happy. But anyway, that's what I'm talking about, is when it's working well, they have the correct spacing and they have these different aspects of it. Yeah, so she skips past it over there, and then Jordan's like, okay, I got to go over here and create this triangle back. And then Shavers just
spins on
does what she does.
Right.
But the spacing is good. We're not on top of each other.
Right.
After she had that big production.
Good defense.
First game.
Second game this season coming
Jazzy with another steal. Although, I don't know if Bailey gets that one or Jazzy
Here
does.
Comes
But
Shavers.
Shavers had 11 points in the first half of this. Oh, here's that play. So this was this game. This is what this is the play. Bailey gets the rebound. This is the play I was talking about earlier. Where this is what I envisioned when we got Danae Fritz, and to have Danae, Bailey, and Jazzy on the floor at the same time. It hasn't always worked out this way, but when you have three guards of this caliber on the floor at the same time, any of them can bring it up. And this is just beautiful basketball and great court vision by Fritz to get over to Jazzy, who does what Jazzy does.
Missouri State not hitting shots.
Look at this.
Trying to shoot it
Full speed, great pass on the move, buckets.
Shavers
That's what those three can do if they get on the same page every game.
For sure.
What's that? Hapley, don't just call me a shooter. I can play defense.
Raiders,
I can play defense.
Across the Moppin.
Love it. Transition.
1-1 here at the Paradise Jam. Florida State is 2-0. Gonzaga 0-2.
I don't know how Bailey made that, but that's what Bailey can do sometimes.
Right off
she can be spectacular sometimes.
Poppin's been quiet. She's running the show.
Yeah, the game kind of got a little weird. Like, yeah.
Yes, it did. We started well.
Like,
I mean, I don't know
we did.
that play I was talking about with Bailey to Danae to Jazzy. I think we were up like 14 after that play. Like, we started the game well, and then we got in this weird lull again.
Shavers on the backdoor cut.
Yeah, she's doing things like that.
We got someone teaching me geometry in the chat.
Success.
I appreciate it.
And a takeaway by Freelon. Win all alone
Great
underneath
defense.
the basket.
Yeah, this was a bit of a sloppy game,
I
but
like
we found our way
all-defensive team,
through it, found a way to
5'4".
win. That was
There's
good. There was a little bit of that
offensive
triangle
basket.
action you saw on
A
that.
little more aggressive
It's there
for
if you
her
watch it. I think
Lady
that'll help you
Raiders at
explain
the
this offense.
offensive
Just look for the
end.
triangles. When they're evenly spaced, it's good stuff. Can't pick the ball up there, but great cut helped her out.
Great cut,
Great
Jordan.
awareness by Merritt to go baseline.
Jordan had herself a tournament.
Possession, it was a fraction.
Oh, I really like this play right here. So this is where, they got the 3 on the other side in this, right? And they're working on, their spacing's not great over there, but they're going to get it fixed. But right now you have the 2-man game going. This has happened quite a bit over the last few games, and I don't remember seeing this earlier in the year. Maybe it's because our spacing wasn't good enough, but Bailey did it earlier. Now Danae's going to do it with Sarah here, and she gets a good bucket off of it. I like whatever is going on here. It's worked.
There's Fritz going right at
Danae
Lacey
Fritz.
Stokes.
Yeah, she had a big stretch. Like, she came into the game, and we went on like a 6-0 run here with that bucket. She's about to get a
Sped up
steal
the
here,
last
I
couple
think.
possessions, Texas Tech
And all of a
has
sudden we
taken
go up
advantage and
5
grabbed
or
the lead,
something.
and they come away with another takeaway.
I thought
Fritz
this might have been one of her
ahead
better
to
games, to
Freelon.
be honest. I think she was plus 9 and only 11 minutes played, but her defense was really valuable
Now
in this one.
Shavers.
And Shavers,
Back to her right hand.
I mean,
Off
just
the
a
window. 23 points.
she
for
is one of
Jazzy
the best
Shavers.
scorers in the
Florida
conference,
State
bar
Seminoles
none.
team
If she plays like that
100%.
just more
Country in
consistently,
scoring
like
and is
she just
receiving
can't be
votes.
stopped. I mean, that was
And Douglas
here. You want triangle offense? That was a great example of it.
and
Phil, let me go
Seminoles
back.
team
There we go.
leads
Look at
the
this
country in
pass. I mean,
scoring and
Bailey
is receiving
mopping.
votes.
Pass
And
to
Douglas
Kyla is so
fouling
tough this year.
Freelon,
She's been.
and
You can't
Freelon
keep her
with an
off the floor. You
opportunity
just can't keep her
for a
off.
3-point play.
Sets it up perfectly.
Mm.
Jump stop. Bounce
Wow.
pass. Basketball 101.
That announcer was obsessed with Bailey Maupin. I couldn't blame him, but I don't think I've ever heard an opposing announcer be so he couldn't shut up about her. He was just like he was just in love with Bailey Maupin's game and all of them. I love how hyped she gets here. That's a big shot. We're down 2 late in the game, and she has the guts to take that shot. And that takes me back to the Florida State game. It wasn't in the highlights because we missed it. But Jazzy had made 3 threes. We have a chance to take the lead. She sauces somebody up. Step back 3. She missed that 3, but I loved that so freaking much. I was like, that's who Jazzy is. Keep shooting them because she's going to make it more times than not. And in this game, in the same situation, down 2 with the chance to take the lead, at near the same spot in the game, late in the 4th quarter, she's not scared to do it again. She doesn't care that it happened. She missed that other one. She sauces this person up, gets open, and she drills it. Like, this is who Jazzy can be. She has that closer in her. We've talked about it before.
How good is Jazzy
She can
Shavers?
you don't matter what your offense is with Jazzy. Like, you need to have good spacing so she can do her thing. But she can just go get a bucket. But yeah, so that answer that. If you want some geometry in the chat, thank you. Appreciate it, RG2. Hopefully Greg's is still in here that asked that. But yeah. Isosceles triangles and equilateral triangles. We want more equilateral triangles, people. That's what we're going for here. You don't want to be too far away from each other because then the passes are too far sometimes and they get stolen. You don't want to be acute triangles because then 2 people can guard you, all the things. But when it's working and they're moving together, because the whole thing with the triangle is it can be an equilateral triangle, and then if I move here, if I'm in the short corner, right, and I move here, if this person doesn't move, all of a sudden that triangle's an isosceles or an acute triangle. If RG2 is teaching me right. It's an effed up triangle. I'll say that much. Geometry's not my thing. It's no longer equal, and so someone else has to move too. And if they don't move too, then your offense looks like, holy shit, what are we doing? It looks jumbled, and it looks like we're playing pickup basketball, and no one knows what they're doing. But when this person moves, at the same time this person moves, and the same time this person moves, and that triangle kind of moves with each other throughout the court, it's beautiful basketball. But it is so hard to get, with 8 new players on this team, to learn that, right? And so that's kind of what they're going through. But I thought we saw good flashes in this tournament of what we can do when we are more on the same page and just really not getting caught, because you can't get caught ball watching, right? If your teammate's moving, you kind of got to anticipate that and be ready to move. You can't just be standing there. If they move, you got to move. Like, if your teammate moves, you got to move. You can't be standing in one spot. And so I think that's it. And then they obviously have set plays that they run as well, which I think they've been working really well. That's when you'll see them get out of that offense where, like, it doesn't look like anything like what I just described, is when they call, someone will put up a number or whatever. Those tend to work pretty much every time, it feels like, which shows that they're well coached and that they're coaching well and they're learning it in practice. And then OTAs have been really good after timeout plays that they've drawn up. I think the only set plays that aren't really working well, I don't remember if we scored on any inbounds plays, like under the basket plays this year.
Yeah,
it feels like we always have to like scapegoat, throw it deep. So that's probably the only one that hasn't been working for us. But like the run of play, like Danae or Bailey calls out a number type plays, have been doing pretty good as well. So the offense is in them. But yeah, like it's one of those that they're going to have to keep working on it, because they got to work together. But when it works, it works. It's pretty basketball. But they gotta stop turning it over. All those things we talked about earlier, if they want their metric numbers to keep shining up there. But there's good stuff in there, but a lot of work to keep doing for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Missouri State, I think what I liked the most was seeing what we got from Jazzy, right? You know, she's been the team, she's like the team leader, and she had a career high of 32 points.
Absurd.
Which she also did great in the other two games as well. Like, this is what I've been waiting for. I feel like that she picks up her game, like, really strong in the fourth quarter, and, like, these games, it was very complete. So I was really happy to see that. My only concern with this team so far, I feel like, compared to last year's free throws have been a little iffy on really weird. Like, even our two leaders, it's been kind of a struggle with making them. So, you know, that's easy. You just gotta put them on the line and then make them run.
Make them
run suicides if they miss. You know, like, gotta keep going back and forth.
Yeah, that to me is not on the coaches. Like, I feel very certain the players are working on free throws. That's all mental. It's mental. And I think
for sure.
I talked about them being soft in that Missouri State game in the first half. They were 1 for 8 or something in the free throw line in the first half. That's just mental toughness issue. Right. They're tired. I get it. Like, I'm sitting here on the couch watching you, so like it's hard for me to like. It's probably unfair for me to say that, but I get it. They've played 3 games in 3 days, but we looked soft and mentally as well. And second half, whatever happened at halftime, and we don't have like post game pressers in these, so we don't really get to hear from the team. But I'm sure if we did, we'd have one of those quotes from Jalen Bristow that says, "Coach gave us her halftime speeches that she always talks about." Probably gave her one of those, and they came out a lot tougher in that second half. Right. And we actually won the first game this year that we've trailed at halftime, because we've only ever trailed against Florida State at halftime, and we almost came back and won that. And then this one we trailed by 5, and we came back and won. So at least we got that monkey off our back and can say, like, we don't need to be leading at halftime to win. Right. But yeah, I think this team can't really afford to come out soft, and for the most part they don't typically do that. And it's not necessarily the score, it's more like, even against Florida State, I don't think we were soft in Florida State. We were a little weak at times with the ball and a little bit maybe frazzled, but we weren't, we blocked someone's shot and stared them down. Like, that's not soft behavior at the beginning of the game. But Missouri State, we did feel a little bit like a little out of it. So, but yeah, they locked in. But yeah, free throws got to get better. But I think, they're too good of shooters to, like, that's just got to figure it out mentally. Yeah. Right. So there's not much they can do. But yeah, make them run or whatever, cool. But like, I never felt like an effective thing for me when I played basketball. Like, it's more like, I guess, but it's fine. Yeah, find a way to put pressure on them and all the things. But I feel pretty confident they're doing that. And so the players just have to learn from it. But I feel like they learned from it in this game. Because Jazzy was talking about free throws, right? We don't win that game if we're not shooting free throws well at the end. Jazzy made like 6 free throws in a row or something to close that game out. So, like, hopefully that was all she needed, and we'll get that from others. So you just got to lock in and figure out that. But yeah, the free throws got to get better. Turnovers, we can't keep turning it over. I think we turned it over 13 in the first half, then only had 4 in the second half. Something like that. Could be off, but didn't turn it over a lot in the second half of this game either. We're stronger with the ball. That has to continue, because we're going to play teams that tomorrow night we're playing a team that they're one of the top teams in the nation at forcing turnovers, right? They're probably looking at our turnover numbers and feasting. They're like, oh my gosh, we're going to force 50 turnovers against this team. And we don't need to let that happen. We have to be better and stronger with the ball and just smarter with the ball. And just kind of take that stuff a little personally, I guess. But yeah, clean up turnovers and stop allowing so many offensive rebounds and stop sending our opponents to the free throw line so often. And you'll see those metric numbers start shooting up. That's kind of where we are. And to close out the triangle talk, you got to be a dynamic triangle. I like that. That's the perfect way to say it. We're looking for dynamic triangles on this team, not those boring old isosceles or cute ones. Dynamic, moving together. So yeah, there we go. Everybody look for dynamic triangles.
You got to make a shirt. Dynamic triangle.
Dynamic triangles in basketball. That's our. Anytime anybody asks what this offensive scheme is, I'm gonna say it's dynamic triangles. That's our offense. So they're gonna be looking to do that tomorrow night against SFA. Good program, right? Good coach, well-coached team, a lot of good players. Tyler's gonna give you a breakdown. But yeah, they're gonna try to turn you over. I know that much. But take it away, Tyler. Let them know what you know about this team.
With SFA, obviously they're a well-respected program. They're the team that's going to probably win their conference tournament. And, if they're in the NCAA tournament, that's like the lower seeded team that you pick to beat the higher seeded team, right? Like they are that efficient. What I've kind of picked up from them, which they don't really post highlights, so it's kind of hard to see their offense. But they have Avery Van Sickle. She has been like their star player. She has been shooting 50% of the year on 3-pointers alone. She makes about anywhere from, she tries to shoot around like 7 a game and she makes about 3 or 4. And she's also really great at making her free throws, and she averages 16 points per game. So she seems to be the person that they love to run through. And then if she's having an off night or they need to go to the bench, and there's this other girl named Harmony Dominguez, and she's kind of like an Adley Blacklock, right? Like she can tear up a zone, which luckily we don't really play zone, but she loves shooting threes as well. She makes about 4 a game, and she tries to shoot around 6. And then I think that their main ball facilitators, her name is Faith. Her name's Faith Blackstone. She's a graduate student, so she's obviously been there for a while. She loves running the ball, 14 points per game. She has 3 steals. And they don't really have a 5 position really working. Their tallest player is 6'1", so we should outsize them, I think, down low. But they really like to play the guard game a lot. Like, you're going to see a lot of kickouts. They love to just run pick and rolls. They just love playing with their guards. So we're not going to see a lot of center action necessarily.
Okay, well, we like our guards on this team, so I'm taking you at your word there. But yeah, no, I was just looking up Van Sickle. She's 5'10", so she probably is a bigger guard for most of the teams she plays, and that allows her to get her shot off. We do have some bigger guards that can match up with her, like Danae is 5'10", 5'11", Bailey's 5'10". So hopefully maybe that'll help us get some more linked on her. But sounds like she's just going to do what she does, but you just can't let her get out of control. Yeah, my big thing is just we can't turn it over. We can't play into it. This could be a sloppy game if both teams are doing what they want to do, pressing and turning the other team over. And you just got to find a way to be the team that doesn't fall into that. And that you're right, because it could get a little frenetic and frantic and crazy if both teams are like back and forth turnovers, right? So you want to be the team forcing the turnovers and be able to have that about you that can then slow it down on offense when we need to and just run our stuff and not turn it over. So, but yeah, a chance for a big win all of a sudden, right? A chance to get it again. The net matters. It certainly matters, but it always matters more what your opponent's net is. And here, moving forward, now that we know what these are, any chance you get a chance at a top 50 net team, you want to take care of that. Forget what their name is. Forget all of that. The fact that they're top 50, you should be looking at this game in that locker room like, hell yeah, let's go beat a top 50 team, right? Because if the NCAA is going to be silly and use this system for seeding and all the things, well, go use it to your advantage and go to get a win under your belt. That's a quad 2 win under your belt here, and it might be your best chance at a top 50 win until conference. The rest, even though we play Arkansas, we play SMU. We'll talk about that next week because we have a week off, I guess, until we play those teams. But yeah, like this could end up being your highest net team remaining until the Big 12, which maybe some people might not think that by the name, but Stephen F. Austin is a good program. Their coach that kind of built that program is at West Virginia now. And so this coach has just continued that program after he left. So, yeah, it should be good. But, we need to come to play. We can't get caught thinking, oh, it's a mid-major game. We slacking. Like, I'm a little like that. The travel, like, they're barely getting back in from the islands. Like, we gotta lock in. So I'm hoping to see a team that goes out and plays their game, has some dynamic triangles and some triangles that don't hand over the ball to the other team. Some not broken triangles, if you will. I promise I'm gonna stop talking about triangles now. I'm done. I'm done, forever done.
And with SFA, like, obviously this is a game that you should win, but they are ranked number 48 in the net, and we do share a common opponent with them. I don't think any of their wins are really anything that have stuck out too much to me, but we did share ACU, and they won by 3 points. They were down, and then I think they came back and won. So we were able to dominate ACU, but that was at ACU, so obviously that might be a little different. But they used to be old rivals, I guess. But other than that, this should be a game that we should win. Yeah, we should win.
Yeah, no,
this
we need
game.
to win it. Yeah, if you want to make the tournament, you need to go out and win games like this. You want to have expectations on you. This is an expectation, but yeah, it is a good program and it's a chance to get a good win. So it shouldn't be. Sometimes you play like New Orleans. Easily could have been bored with that one because there was no benefit to that game for you. It was going to hurt you in the net, win or lose, because they're that lowly ranked, right? This is a fun one. This is a chance for. I would just like mark out their name. Who gives a shit what they're called? Top 50 net team on your floor tomorrow night. Go get the win. That's a big game. We were looking at just strictly silly metrics. Just because the net says it is, it's all of a sudden a big game. So that should be hype, and you should be excited to go out and do what you do.
Sure.
Go team. So be there, 6 p.m. at the USA. Haven't been home in a while, and I believe their 2 games after this are back on the road. So you won't get to see them a lot.
Right.
And this will be kind of your last chance maybe until, I don't know. Do they have another home game before conference? Or?
I think we go straight into conference.
Yeah, because they have 3 road
after
games
those
coming
2.
up, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes,
so
I think so. We'll play Houston.
We didn't make it easy on ourselves, and they play Houston to start conference and then have a little bit of a break. Because conference starts before Christmas this year because of the expanded teams or whatever. Yeah, cool. Go Lady Raiders. 8-1 on the season. Not too shabby.
Right.
Take it.
Oh, they have Education Day in between. That one's always important. Lamar, the 17th. Yes, the kids. The kids. I heard it might be a record Education Day crowd this year again too. So we'll see what that looks like.
Year, so
I know.
Man, I hope our new players are mentally prepared, but they got weeks for that one.
Right.
Get ready for that. Oh man, that's fun. No, that's always a fun game for the players. There's just a lot of screeching. So we'll talk about that when the time comes. Let's beat the Lumberjacks tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah, so elsewhere, men's basketball. Their schedule turns up a bit this week, too. I believe it's Wednesday night. They play DePaul, who is undefeated in the Big East Challenge. It wasn't a great draw. I know a lot of people were disappointed in that draw when you get the Big East and you get DePaul, but they are undefeated. They haven't played really anybody, but they are undefeated. So maybe
they receive votes, too.
They're receiving. What does the net have DePaul at? That might be a big question.
No idea.
Pull
I'll
it
have to
up.
check.
We're 36th in the net on the men's side, like we said, but it could be a little bit a better win than you thought it might be at the start of the season. So that's good for us, and they need to get it done. They may be dealing with some bumps and bruises perhaps on the men's side, so we'll see who is and isn't available on Wednesday. But hopefully they have enough folks to go get it. Did you find the net? Or are you still looking it up?
They're 63, so they're not too high, but yeah.
But that's not. I think a lot of people coming to this thought that they'd be in the hundreds by the time you're playing DePaul with how bad they've been of late.
Last year they were like only won, I think, 2 games.
Yeah,
so.
They're horrible last year.
They were
had
horrible.
Like, a new coach and a completely new team.
Right.
So, yeah, this turned out to be a much better game than you were afraid it was going to be because they don't have a lot of big games on their schedule this year, unfortunately, in the non-con. So this is a chance to get that one. And then they play Texas A&M after that. And then that's also a big game. So they have a couple of big ones coming up within the next week or so to get it done. But I've enjoyed watching them. There's a lot they need to get better at for sure. But they're kind of on that same boat where I think defensively, both teams have a bit of an issue on ball defense. I don't know. Both teams. I would say the women's and the men's team need to get better at on-ball defense. We're letting people kind of sauce us up and get to the rim way too often. And I think if both teams can get better at that, by conference, they'll have a little bit more success, hopefully. And then just health needs to be on the men's team side because they're a little bit thin, especially in the front court. So I'm hoping that stays on their side because that's my only concern because that kind of bit them in the butt last year. But we've shown the ability to play small at times as well. But yeah, I'm excited to watch them play against DePaul for sure. A&M game is always fun because it's a bit of the rivalry, but let's get this one out of the way first. Let's not get caught looking ahead.
Right. Both games are good opportunities to build a resume for the NCAA tournament and to kind of trump that St. Joe's loss a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And St. M, I believe, is ranked in the top. They're 22, right? In the polls?
Yes. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Believe.
So, that's another chance, and that one is on Sunday this week. So, yeah, we'll talk to you after that. So, a chance to get both of those at home, I think. Is that at home or is that a neutral site game?
It's neutral. It's going to be in Dallas.
That's right. The Fort Worth, the Dickies Arena in Fort Worth.
Yes. Yes, I think so.
We played them there last year in that preseason scrimmage thing, didn't we?
Right, and we won.
And we sold. I don't know if we were there, but I think we played them at UNT's arena. But we won.
Right.
So hopefully we can win again. Please. But yeah,
hopefully.
A big week for the men's team. A couple of big games for sure. And then the women's will have 2 big games the week after that on the road themselves. So big stuff there. Also, volleyball, we said that we talk about that. Their season came to an end. They did outperform their ranking. They were picked to finish last. I think they finished 9th. So that's great for the seniors. I appreciate that for them. I'm not going to have anything bad to say about the players and everything they gave this year. So looking forward, especially Maddie Correa. Oh my God, that girl stuck it out here for 5 years. She was a part of the first team to make the tournament in 20 years her freshman year, and then we thought we were on the right track, and then she was kind of a part of a tough downturn for the program, and she stuck around and kind of fought through it and all the madness and stayed. And just to see her crying after that game with the Matador song, and these athletes put a lot into this, and they really love this school. People talk a lot of shit about people sometimes, but they love being Red Raiders, and to see it come to an end that way and not be able to get back to the tournament, I'm sure is tough, but she'll be a Red Raider for life. She definitely earned her spot in that grouping of players that you'll kind of remember for everything they did, and the transfers that came in, and Reagan and Mia and Emily Merrick, who's been here for a couple of years, and Simone Overbeck, Alina, but all of them, I appreciate what they gave to the program. So another season down. I really want volleyball to be competitive. Maybe we'll talk about volleyball more in the weeks. I want us to have a competitive volleyball team is all I'll say on it. And whatever needs to be done to make that happen, whether it's resources or whatever, I hope we do that. Because, I'm just tired of us not being competitive. It's not fair to the athletes that are putting in the time and choosing to come play here that we can't get back to the tournament, right? So this time next year, I really want to be a tournament team. That's all I'm asking. And I think I'll leave it there because I don't want to get grumpy about it. But I just want Texas. There's no reason Texas Tech should have a team that's consistently not in the tournament the way that volleyball is.
Right. Yeah, great. I think it was a great season for what they were able to work with and how they were able to kind of finish off strong after starting conference a little shaky. But, you had a great win against K-State earlier in the year, and they played some teams really close
Houston.
again.
That was cool.
Yeah, swept them twice, and they played some really close games against some good opponents like BYU and Utah. I remember that. So yeah, it was just another kind of season. Yeah, you didn't make it into the tournament, but hopefully this program will make some turns and changes so we can grow bigger and grow the game of volleyball.
About their recruiting class.
For sure.
Ones we've had. So that's cool, and we'll see how the portal goes. I think the portal, like football, which we're about to talk about, so that's a great segue. Portal for volleyball opens this coming week as well, so you're going to start to see news on that. So we'll just see. We'll let it play out. That's how we did it last year with volleyball. We'll let all that stuff play out, and then we'll talk about it after because there's no reason to guess and before then. So that's volleyball. Football, obviously Micah Hudson reportedly, I think it's safe to say he's entering the portal. I don't know if he's put out an official statement yet or not, but he
did, I think.
Did he finally? Jalen Peoples. Yes. There's going to be a lot. I would like people to mentally prepare themselves for the number of players on the football team that are going to enter the portal. And you need to not get caught up in how many. It's more about who. Because there's going to be whether everything went perfectly or not, and you were losing coordinators or not, there's going to be probably a large number. I don't want to say how many because of the roster limits next year. They can only have 105 people on the team, Most football rosters carry about 125, 130 plus. That's a lot of people that had to get cut no matter what, basically, had to leave no matter what because of the new roster limits coming. So it's not so much, oh my God, so when there's like 30 people in the portal, don't lose your minds. It's more about who is in the portal. Focus on the who, not how many. Jake Strong apparently hit the portal earlier. That one makes all the sense in the world. He's the third string quarterback. He's behind Baron Morton and Will Hammond, right? It's good for Jake Strong to go find somewhere he can play and use his last 2 years of eligibility playing. So that is not one you should freak out over. Like, I just don't like when our fans freak out over everybody that hits the portal. They're just trying to do what's best for them and move on. It sucks that Micah is in the portal. Maybe he'll return. Maybe he won't. We'll see. But that's just kind of the game and how it goes. And we don't know the full story of what goes on. So I just don't think it's my place to necessarily have an opinion on it. But I wish him the best. Every interaction that I've had with him, with seeing Scarlet, he's interacted with us a few times, has been very mature, is all I'll say. And that's all I can speak to is the times that I've talked to him. He was a mature guy, but don't really know the situation other than that. So, yeah, but football there. Obviously, we let go the defensive coordinator. He had some good times here. I have a lot of respect for DeRuiter, but it just wasn't working. Like, our defense was really bad. Whether that was his fault or the players being hurt, you can make an argument, but we were really bad and needed to make a change there. So I was proud that we'd made the tough choice and did that. And then Zach Hitley, it's not official unless it happened to become official while we're watching it, but reportedly expected to take the Florida Atlantic head coaching job. A little bit ironic since half the fan base was calling for him to be fired all year, which was moronic. We have a top 10 offense in the country. So am I surprised that he got a head coaching job? I'm absolutely not surprised. That's what happens when you're a top 5 offensive coordinator. A group of 5 team is going to offer you a head coaching job, and he's young. He'll be the youngest head coach in the country. I think he's only 33 years old. He'll be the youngest head coach in the country, and he gets to start his head coaching job at a beautiful location to do it. His family gets to go live on the beach for a few years. And
well, and Florida Atlantic has always been like one of those, group of 5 teams that a lot of like Lane Kiffin and everybody they go coach at, and then they can go Power 5.
It hasn't worked out well for them, but maybe Kitley will be the one that gets them back on track. Their basketball team took Bacho and they made the Final Four. Was that last year, the year before? So their athletic department's trying to do something, and with the new playoff, it's a lot more realistic now that these teams have a chance. Really, it's not. Like before, FAU could have the best season ever, but they were never going to make the national championship. They just weren't, because you were never going to go from unranked to top 2 or top 4, even as a group of 5. But you can go from unranked to ranked high enough to get that group of 5 spot. There's going to be one in the playoff every year, so it's not a bad job anymore. So I wish him the best. I hope it works out for him. If that's how it goes, maybe we'll wake up tomorrow and there's a whole news report that didn't happen. But it feels like he took the job down in Florida, and we'll see. I don't know that many players of substance will follow him there, meaning like Jake Strong could follow him there. That would make sense. But I don't think your top offensive players are going to go.
I don't think so either.
Major, but you could see some of those down the depth chart guys follow him the same way that a lot of guys followed our previous
Keith Patterson
to ACU. You could see some stuff like that happen,
which
would be cool to see them kind of go do their thing. But we'll see how it goes, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, obviously, it's crazy because we did have an amazing season, I think. I mean, as Red Raider fans, we finally got over that 7-5 hump. Like, there's a line between 7-5 and 8-4.
We have not had 8 regular season wins since 2009.
And that was Mike Leach. So it's been a hot minute.
Yeah.
Yes, his last season.
Mike Leach, but yeah.
Right.
That was the drama season.
Yes, the drama season. But yeah, no, congrats to the football guys. They really did. They did way better than my expectations for them, and we made it. Hopefully we get a good bowl game. We'll kind of see how that lays out. We almost ran it for a Big 12 title. I mean, we were in the hunt until Colorado beat Oklahoma State. So a lot of good things to see from football. Obviously these coordinators either leaving or getting asked to leave, and then these player transfer portal things are obviously something that is kind of hectic the day, like less than 24 hours after we just capped the season, and we got to figure out how the bowl game's running. But other than that, football did have a great season, so we should take the positives in this situation and appreciate
Yeah, I mean,
that,
I think I'll
right?
read, and I appreciated this tweet from Caleb Roger. He's an outgoing senior on the team, but it's like he is a Seeing Scarlet listener, you know? So it was like straight out of what we've been saying all year about football is that I am happy to have someone on this team now that's running this program now that gets it, you know? I don't know, did the tweet get taken down? I don't think so. It's not showing on my Twitter anymore, but anyway, that like I want somebody that's going to treat this like an actual program that understands that it needs to get rebuilt. I'm not seeing the tweet anymore. So, but basically, it was about building a program and not just a team, and building a culture around it. And that's do you know? So like, football at Texas Tech has not been a blue blood. We got to get this weird, we're like hot shit thing out of our heads, like fans have every year. Like, we're Texas Tech, but we can build into that. Right? We're just sitting here talking about we haven't won 8 games since 2009. Like, I was in frickin' college then. Like, that's a long time ago, people. Like, that's a long time ago. So I'm happy that we finally seem to have a coach that isn't pretending like that's not the truth. And he's trying to build a program and not just a team that's different every year. And like, it takes time and it takes work. And we lost some games that we shouldn't have lost this year. And if we win those, man, we're in the Big 12 championship. Like, that's crazy, right? And both teams that are in the Big 12 championship, we beat. We beat both of these teams, right? That's how
So
close
we're the Big
we
12
were.
champions, right?
So we're the Big 12 champions by default. Math is math. I don't know why.
Let's pull UCF, just make like a little banner,
a
you know?
Big 12 champs. Big 12 champs. So yeah, I was really on the let's go to the Pop-Tart Bowl train, but I just don't think that's going to happen now.
Right. It's based on like standing, I think, gets priority. So because we finished 7th, I think they're going to give maybe 2 teams, like Baylor, TCU. I think, I'm not sure
they
though.
can pick whoever they want to at the end of the day, because last year we were supposed to go to maybe the Pop-Tart Bowl, somewhere in Orlando, one of the Florida Bowls, and they picked OU over us because of the brand. So if they really wanted to pick us, they could. Like, if they were like, if we were on the rise and our coaches weren't gone, and I'm not even convinced that Baron Morton will play in this, or if Taj Brooks will play. That's a me thing. There's no reports out there on that. Just because, like, I don't know if they'll play. Particularly Taj. Like, he's looking forward to
NFL
getting drafted, and a lot of people. It's not just him, but a lot of people across the country won't be playing in their bowl games that are trying to get drafted. So we'll see what happens. And then Barron's been beat up a little bit this year, so it's just one of those things. Will he do it or not? So I'm not really like looking to this bowl game as much, other than like a chance for some younger players to play and kind of find out some things about other players. I'm not super like excited about it. I'm more interested to see who we hire. I think portal season at this point is more important than bowl season. Sad,
for sure.
Sad, but it's true, because the people are gonna leave that are gonna leave. Wish them the best, but I mean, we got to go find people as well. We got to put a team together, and you need coaches to do that. So I'm sure since we made the choice on DeRuyter, we've been looking for, we probably have a short list of people, and I've heard some names there. And then I don't know that the Kitley thing is that big of a surprise to the staff either. Like, I'm sure Joey McGuire knew, and I'm sure Kitley's been honest and talking with Joey throughout this process that he's been in contact. So he's probably has some people in mind for that too, and hopefully you don't want to rush the process, but hopefully they make it higher sooner than later and keep the guys they can keep and go find who else wants to be here. But yeah, I'm just along for the ride. Try not to get too caught up in it, y'all. Just breathe. It's portal season. You just need to close your eyes if you get too caught up in it, and just see who's on the team when it's all over and cheer for them. That's my best advice. If you can do it. If you can do it. It's tough, I know, but that's the way to go about it. And it's not just them. Soccer portal is here. Volleyball portal is opening. And again, those roster limits, like soccer, I don't know if I understand it correctly, but I think soccer has to have some people leave, like just to fit the roster limits. I don't know about volleyball, might have to as well, because the roster limits that are coming into play, football has to have people portal. Like they cannot not have people portal. They have to cut down their roster. So there's going to be movement in a lot of sports coming up, but that also means there's going to be a lot of talent in the portal for all of these sports. I don't know if we have room to work in soccer, but there's a lot of talent in the soccer portal already, because it's been open for sure now. So we'll talk about that if anything comes from it. But yeah, other than that, I think that's what we got. Go to the game tomorrow and Wednesday.
Yes, be there. It's gonna be a fun week.
Be there, be loud, dressed in your best Hawaiian tropical gear if you're a student, or you're just feeling the vibes.
Hey, yeah.
Season
You're
ticket
welcome to come
holders,
down to the
come
student
on over.
section. It's finals week, so
Annoy
there may
some
not be a lot of people.
lumberjacks.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. We'll see y'all next week. Wreck 'em.
Wreck 'em.